Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session of Chamber Spotlight. Today, I have the thrill to be able to have some great quality time here with my friend Max Vazquez, and he's also a board member of ChamberSouth. Welcome, Max.
Thank you, Rick. It's a pleasure to be here, and I believe this is your first Chamber Spotlight also.
It is.
So I am honored.
I'm honored myself. So, Max, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, Rick, I come from two parents, Cuban, moved to New York, started dating, got married, but like most Cubans, didn't like the New York winters.
Okay.
So as soon as they could, they moved the four of us. I have an older sister to Miami, where I was basically raised. I've been in Miami since I was 4 years old.
So, were you born in Cuba, Max?
I was not born in Cuba. Me and my sister were born in New York.
Okay.
And then I was raised in Miami. My sister has way more memories of New York than I do.
Okay.
Went to Columbus. Adelante.
The Big C.
Yes, little Havana kid. And fortunately for me, I met my beautiful wife, who was born and raised in Miami. And we've been together now for over 20 years, married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Have two girls. I have...
Oh, Lord.
Yes, I'm blessed. My older one went to Florida State and is an accountant working in a firm in Coral Gables. And I have my younger one, who's a Gator and studying neuroscience. So she got her mother's brains.
That is great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just like me, I have two boys. You have the two girls, and one is in banking, and the other one is an eye doctor himself. So,
well, I called my girls my boys because they both played sports growing up.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
Yes.
So, how long have you're now with United Community Bank,
Yes.
and what's your position there?
I am the manager of the South Miami office, which used to be the headquarters for the previous bank, which they merged with First National Bank of South Miami.
Okay, and what do you mean by the headquarters? Tell me about that.
Well, First National Bank of South Miami was headquartered in South Miami. It was a 3-branch bank. About 2 years ago, we merged or were purchased by United Community Bank.
Okay.
Which was very fortunate for us. If you're looking to merge, United Community Bank, it's an amazing bank. We're currently celebrating our 75th year. We are ranked number 1 in customer satisfaction in the Southeast region for the last 10 years. When will this air?
That's excellent.
Yeah.
2025 now.
Yeah. So when does this air? Do you have any idea? Is it tomorrow? Is it?
No, it will be. Yeah, it could be tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow I'm allowed to say it. Today I'm not. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, Lord.
We just found out today that we are now 11 times number 1 customer satisfaction
Well,
rankings.
congratulations. Congratulations to you, Max.
It's a great place to work. Like I was saying, we've actually 8 times in a row won employee satisfaction number 1 ranked bank. So it's a growing bank. We're in 6 states. We're in Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. We have about 200 branches.
So most of it in the Southeast region.
Yes.
Okay.
We have 20 branches in Florida, 3 here in Miami. We have my office. We have the Coral Gables office, and we have the Falls location.
Okay, so United Community Bank is not a small bank.
It's not.
It's a large bank. It's not, I mean, even though it has the name community in it,
Mhm.
because I think that there's a distinction in the banking world
Mm-hmm.
of what a community bank is and what a, I guess, national bank?
Yes.
Is that the proper wording?
Yes, absolutely. So it's funny you say that because, yes, we are basically almost a $30 billion bank. But if you speak, or if you've ever had the pleasure of meeting our chairman, Lynn Harton, he basically says that he spends half the time trying to figure out how to grow the bank, and the other half of the time is how to keep it small.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've been to United Community Bank, and you know what? It's very homey, very
Yes.
welcoming. You know, it feels like a community bank. And I know that you guys are there helping the small business owners as much as possible. Is that still part of what your philosophy is?
Philosophy, focus, we cater to the small business owner. Basically, my favorite part of the job is going to go to a location, visit the small business owner at his company. How did he start this company? How did he get involved with this company? And how can we help him grow? Right now, I'm doing helping a client who needs to purchase some equipment to continue to grow his business. Next week, I may be doing a small business line of credit for a client. We help, they need to purchase new trucks for their business. So that's what we do. We're here to help the small business owner continue to grow, give them access to capital.
Now, do you usually do that all in the bank, or do you go visit them at their location?
We go where the client wants. So some clients
That's
love
awesome.
to come into the bank, and we actually do that. Like most people get shocked when they come to the South Miami office. We have clients. Sometimes we have a line of clients. Like we have some very popular bankers.
That's interesting. So, what made you get into banking? Was that always something you wanted to do?
It's funny because my father basically gave me the idea. And over 30 years ago, I got my first job as a part-time teller. And I remember going to interview, and there was a lobby full of like 20 people interviewing for a part-time teller position. And at the time, I was,
Back when you did it face to face?
yeah, face-to-face, definitely no Zoom. And I just remember being very nervous. And how am I going to get this job? There's 20-something people here interviewing. And fortunate enough for me, I got the job and I started my banking career.
And what's the trajectory been like in your banking
Sure.
career?
Sure. So started as a part-time teller, became a full-time teller.
How long after?
Probably, well, so the full-time teller was probably a year after.
Really?
Yeah.
That quick?
Yeah, because it was just going from part-time to full-time.
Okay.
Then about 2 or 3 years later, I became the head teller. But I always wanted to go to the new account side. I had some great mentors, and eventually I went to new accounts, and there I did well, and they invested in me, and I was able to get loan trained. I even got investment licenses. I learned more about how to advise clients. And so from there, became an assistant manager eventually, several years later. And then one time I remember getting called into my boss's office, and she was like, "Max, I want to talk to you about something, but I don't want you to tell me yes or no. I want you to go home, talk to your wife and family, come back to me tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh God, what is going on?"
What's happening here?
And she wanted me to become a branch manager of a location in Aventura. I lived in West Kendall at the time. I had just had a baby, and I lived blocks from my branch.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh
So,
my God.
but sometimes I've been raised that it's not what the company can do for you, but what you can do for the company. So I accepted
That's
it.
great.
And I was at the Aventura location for 2-3 years. We basically helped turn that branch around, and due to that success, then they brought me back to South Miami.
So, wait a second. You have been the entire time with United Community Bank?
No. I've been with
Okay.
United Community Bank now for 9 years.
9 years.
Yes. These were different financial institutions. But I do like staying at my bank. If the bank is treating me right, and United I have absolutely no desire to listen or go anywhere. And that's always been my philosophy.
Well, I mean, there's two things I'm going to ask. Number one, that way of training of starting as a teller and then a head teller, part-time, full-time, and being trained, getting some Series 6 license or Series 7 license, being trained all the way up, because now the banks even sponsor you to get those licenses.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct.
What does sponsoring mean?
Sponsoring basically means that they're going to pay for your education. They see something in you. They want you to continue to grow in your career and with the bank.
Okay.
And basically, you will get all the opportunities to succeed.
All right. And once you're sponsored in a bank and you go through the education part and they paid for it, how much time do you have to pay them back? No, it doesn't work that way.
Typically not. The only time where I've seen that is if you are if they're going to pay for you to do a multiple year program.
Okay.
In which case they will ask you, if you do not stay for the period of, let's say, those 2 or 3 years, to return the funds. But that would be, I've never seen where they actually do it.
I've seen a lot of banks being taken over.
Yes.
And bought out by other banks.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of the small community banks
Yes.
hardly exist anymore. And could you tell us what's the difference between a community bank and a national bank? And then I'm going to ask, why do you feel that there is that buying out of all these banks?
So a national bank obviously is coast to coast. And clients can get lost in a national bank.
Okay.
And not all banks have the same strengths. And a community bank, their strength truly is meeting the needs of that community. The people who make the decisions for our clients live in the community. They understand the client base. They understand the needs of the client. They have lunch with the clients. And so the level of service and care cannot compare. What is happening right now? I think everybody's seen what happened with the crisis a couple years back.
Yep.
And interest rates skyrocketed. Clients had lower interest rates, which put the bank in some difficult positions. And so due to that, there have been a lot of mergers. So it is true that right now it seems like most banks are either buying other banks or getting bought out.
How about a lot of banks had to be bailed out also when the housing crisis happened?
Yes.
There was a lot of loans that were being given at that time that never should have been given.
Correct.
And that really put a lot of these banks in jeopardy.
Yes.
And a lot of them really had to be bailed out by the government.
Yes.
Do you think that'll ever happen again?
I unfortunately, I do believe it'll happen again one day.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Even with the stringent rules that you guys have in place right now, you do feel that there's a possibility?
I don't think we're in any danger of that right now. I think the banks right now are extremely solid. Having said that, I also tend to believe that history repeats itself. And the further you remove yourself from a crisis, things tend to get lax, and eventually things happen again.
So what are your plans for the future?
My plans for the future are to continue to help grow the bank. So as I mentioned, it's a bank that is extremely attractive to bank at and to work at. Recently, we've even added some amazingly talented bankers. Not sure if you know Matthew Bruno. Matthew Bruno joined us months ago. He's an extremely talented banker, and he's been chosen to lead the Miami market for the bank.
That is fantastic. He came from Amerant Bank, did he not?
He did. Yes, he did. There's been several other extremely talented lenders who have come to the bank, and we have an exciting mix of our legacy employees, some of the new additions, and he's hit the ground running. and
That's
putting
great.
Miami on the map.
That's great.
Mhm.
So now let's leave banking.
Yes.
You said that your girls grew up doing sports.
Yes.
Were you always a sports guy too?
I played sports, but I'll be honest with you, I wasn't as good as my girls.
Really? No
Yes.
way. What kind of sports did
Yes.
they play?
I played baseball mostly, and I played some basketball. My older one was soccer.
Excellent.
Yes, and we did the whole travel soccer scene, and that's what our weekends and long weekends basically focused on. And then eventually she got into cross-country running. She went to St. Brendan. She was co-captain of her cross-country team. And I actually ended up liking cross-country more than any other sport she had ever
Is
done.
that a fact?
Yeah. I just
Wow.
felt it was such a positive environment, and you're out on the countryside. It's beautiful. So it was a nice change of pace. Sometimes sports in Miami can get a little heated.
Oh, yes.
And parents,
parents are the ones
get
that
a
get
little
heated.
intense.
The parents are the ones that get heated.
And cross country, it's more like everybody's just cheering the kids as they run along.
It's a little bit more
It was
mellow.
refreshing.
That's great. That's great to hear.
My little one was softball.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, and flag football, and she also did some cross country.
That's
So,
great.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up playing sports all my life and tried to get my kids into the sports. And some of them dabbled in it, but nothing major. You always, as a parent, oh my God, because I played sports all my life, I want them to do it.
Yeah.
But you got to realize that as a parent, you're not the one that's making the decisions.
Right.
The child is the one that has to make the
Right.
decision. And what do they like and what they don't like.
Right.
So now, you know, I had the opportunity to take over the position of executive director of ChamberSouth in September, which is almost 6 months ago, just about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And you were one of the directors there, and now you're the incoming chairman
Yes.
of our organization. Why did you choose ChamberSouth? Did the bank put you there, or is that something that you wanted to do? Why giving back to the community through a chamber?
It's a great question. We at United First National have an amazing history with ChamberSouth. But even before I was at United, I've been participating in ChamberSouth events for 20 years.
Is that a fact?
I remember when the luncheons used to be at Carrabba's in South Miami.
Oh, wow.
And the chairwoman at the time was Veronica Flores, who, as you know, ran First National Bank of
Right.
South Miami.
Exactly.
And I've always admired her and the chamber and what we did.
She's a great lady.
After that, Claudia Cancio, who is my boss.
Another.
And I believe to this day, the only chairperson who ever had 2 terms.
Wow.
Yeah.
At Chamber.
Out of necessity. So she served 2 terms as chairperson for ChamberSouth. And these are both women I respect greatly and admire. And yeah, it was probably over 5 years ago. I was already at First National at United,
Okay.
and they wanted me to get more involved with the chamber. And that's when I joined the trustee event. I became a board member, eventually got onto the executive committee. And as you mentioned now, in October,
You'll be.
this year's already flying by.
It is. It's calling you.
Yeah.
It's calling.
But it's a very exciting time to be part of the chamber. You know, you're one of the best hires we've ever had,
Thank you. Thank
without
you.
a doubt.
I appreciate
The
it.
direction that you're taking the chamber in. I mean, listen, I see the emails. It seems like every single day a new member is joining.
Yeah. We've been blessed.
Yeah.
We really have.
Yeah. And I do believe that it is almost all of us have gone to different networking organizations, but I do feel different in ChamberSouth.
Why?
And I always have. It's warmer. It's the people. The people really do care about you. You do develop real friendships in and out of business. And the board members and the members have always gone out of the way to make and try to make anybody who's new feel welcome.
I got to agree with you on that because I've also been involved in many chambers in my life. And one of the things that you see is that in ChamberSouth, it feels more homey, more family, more, welcoming to the new person. And a lot of our members tell us that,
Yeah.
Especially the new members. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. And that's what's extremely important. Now we're beginning to stretch our arms and we're beginning to go into other locations because even though we're located in South Miami, this chamber really covers many different areas and many different cities. And what is your plans for your chairmanship in the chamber?
Help you continue to expand. As you just mentioned, we just had an event in Berry Farms. So that's how far south we can go.
Exactly. and what a great event.
I live in Kendall.
Yeah. You see?
So I work in South Miami. We want to continue to make South Miami an amazing community to work, live, and play at. But we also want to help South Florida. It's not just South Miami. So we're going to do everything we can to help every small business owner work with our elected officials to continue to make our region the best area to live, work, and play at.
That's great. That's great. Well, Max, anything else you want to tell us today?
No, Rick. I just want to congratulate you again on the job you're doing for the chamber.
Thank you, Max.
For bringing me here today to talk about the chamber and United Community Bank. It's been a pleasure.
Well, I know that you're doing a phenomenal job at the bank, and I look forward to working with you next year. So really, thank you very much. On 3, we'll look at that camera over there, and we'll say thank you to everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.